So like everything's okay to have to show here?
Oh yes, it's fine. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely. And I might rhapsodise about the lace, the black lace out there, because that's one of my favourites in the collection. I love black and cream, as you can see. So I thought, right, I'll have my favourite out today. Hello, my name's Valerie Wilson and I'm Curator of Textiles here at the Ulster Folk Museum, and I'm chatting to you today from the workroom and part of the store for the Textiles collection at Curator. I'll start off by saying what a big collection it is. It's actually one of the bigger collections in the UK and probably the biggest public collection of dress and textiles in Ireland. The collection has grown certainly in the last 25 to 30 years. And I'm pleased to say that public interest in the collection has grown. So now we're having the fantastic opportunity to move to a new purpose-built store elsewhere on the site. So at the moment I am working very closely with our conservators and with collections information colleagues to fully document and to pack and store and relabel where appropriate all of the textiles to move to the new store. So it's quite a big job. We've got about 35,000 examples of dress and textiles, so it'll take a little while longer. But I want to chat to you today about the lace collection. When we started this recent documentation project, we were under the impression that we had maybe 450 to 500 examples of Irish lace, but we've actually discovered through the documentation and updating the records that we have a collection of over 1,000 examples of Irish lace. And for me, one of the big plus points of that collection is that it includes everything from paper patterns, work in progress, to finished examples and beautiful lace on fashions. So it's a very comprehensive collection. And I've got a few pieces here that I wanted to show you. Probably the biggest part of the lace collection would be crochet lace. And there's certain types of lace that we have in the collection: crochet lace, Carrick Macross, Limerick lace, bobbin lace. Crochet lace would probably be the biggest part of the collection. And I don't know if anybody uses tea cozies anymore. I know I don't, even though I love tea. But this is actually a very fancy, it looks like it might be a big hat, but it's actually a very fancy cover for what would have been a quilted tea cozy. And this has been completely handmade with a very, very tiny crochet hook. We have a fabulous collection of crochet lace collars. And these were very popular in the second half of the 19th century, and there was whole armies of outworkers right across Ireland, and particularly in the north of Ireland up into the northwest and Donegal, doing this kind of crochet for lace collars and cuffs. Some people nowadays might be more familiar with seeing these on 1960s and 70s Irish dance costumes. These were popular at a time when they were just very carefully pinned or hand sewn onto a dress, so they could be taken off easily to be laundered. Your dress might only be laundered once every few months, but your crochet lace collars and cuffs could come off quite often to keep them nice and clean and tidy. And the collars were little sort of crescent or round shapes, and sometimes this sort of larger horseshoe shape, all done by hand to a set series of patterns. And where you have this very, very fine sort of ground, this is referred to as clonus lace because it has a particular wee knot. The thing that really signalled the downturn in the market for handmade lace was obviously the emergence of machine-made lace, because it replicated some of the styles, but it was able to turn them out in bigger quantities. And as soon as that happened, the price of handmade lace dropped. People weren't so interested in paying for the handmade lace because the machine-made lace, certainly at a distance, looked very much the same. So it's, as you might imagine, the market kind of dropped and it never really recovered. At the end of the 19th century, manufacturers were developing very clever machinery to make these kind of machine-made net that looked like it sort of replicated the look of lace, and that was being turned out in huge quantities. And it was being used for a lot of costumes. So you could go to a shop like our Sloane's Draper's shop here in the museum, and you could buy yards of that to make up into costume. So this has the appearance at a distance a very fine handmade lace, but it's actually machine produced. This is one of my favourites in the collection. I couldn't resist getting this out because I love wearing black and cream. I would happily wear that today actually if it fitted me, very tiny waist. And this is beautiful. It's a lovely chiffon fabric and that gorgeous, really, really delicate looking black net lace. You find a lot of that used on late 19th century and early 20th century costume. This would probably have originally had a skirt to match, but what we find is that when fashions changed, maybe 10 or 20 years after this would have been made, this was probably made about 1900, 1905, people remade their skirts because it had masses of fabric, and they remade the skirts into smaller, maybe shorter garments. So we have a lot of bodices that don't have the skirts that they would originally have been worn with. This is cream or sort of unbleached linen, and this is a particular kind of lace that has 2 or 3 names. It can be called tape lace because of the cotton tape that's used, or braid lace because of the way it's made, and certain styles of it are known as Battenburg lace. So it has 2 or 3 names, but handmade and made as a flat piece with a pattern. It's a tape that's laid down and tacked onto the pattern and then joined with this sort of hand embroidery and embellished. These little circles are called pops, and that would be made, and then it's been applied to that sort of lovely cream looking linen. Now this would have been worn originally with a camisole underneath, so it wouldn't have been quite as racy as it looks here today, and probably with a skirt to match also. One of my favourite pieces. Women passed on their ideas both for lace making and for fashionable dress from person to person. Fashion plates and women's needlework patterns also give some idea of how you should wear your lace and how it could be used to trim dresses. This is from a fashion plate of 1871, and you can see there's a lot of lace going on. I mean, this is very much like at the top end of the market, but women would have had access to these fashion plates. These were supplements in magazines and journals, and we've got a lovely collection of these in the museum. And you could have taken this to your dressmaker and said, can you make me a version of this with a bit of lace around the collar, around the hem. This is also from the 1870s and very, very detailed. These are all stored in drawers with acid-free tissue paper to keep them in good condition. I'll just carefully peel this one back for me. You can see the amount of detail here, and again this was given as a supplement. It's called the Monster supplement, I think, because of the size of it. And here we've actually got an example of a sort of what's called a sort of lappet style collar that was made in the technique that was seen earlier in that sort of fine tape lace. So here you've got a pattern that you could actually work from if you were a maker, and then you've got loads of ideas as to how you can actually use your lace and embroidery to trim your garments. The one thing I really love about this collection is the fact that we have got the patterns, the pieces being made, the finished pieces, whole outfits of lace, particularly with wedding dresses and wedding veils. And we also have collections of needlework boxes, needlework tools. So I feel in that respect we can tell a very complete story. And what I really, really love about the lace collection in particular is that it represents handmade skills, art, industry and craftsmanship, high fashion and everyday fashion. So the lace collection definitely has it all covered.